My name is Brother D, and I watch a lot of wrestling, especially indie wrestling, and especially Memphis wrestling. What does the aftermath of Championship Saturday look like? Let's talk about it and find out. Now, we're told right off the top that we've got two special guests this week, Tommy Dreamer and Kid Kash. We'll wait for them to show up, though, because we're kicking off this episode with the master of Fat Jitsu, k-toomer. Said it before, and I'm going to keep saying it. If I had to rank my favorite indie wrestlers, k-toomer would be right near the top. He's a big man with a big personality and big skills. In an interview with Dustin Starr, he makes it clear that not only is he ready to defend his Heritage Championship against the gun show, but he's also ready to deal with the circus if they stick their nose in his business again. Show enough. The interviews continue when Kid Kash speaks with Dustin Starr briefly before he joins commentary at the desk to scout the cruiserweights of Memphis wrestling. The chosen one, Zay Washington, versus the walking red flag Colton Cage, is the first actual wrestling match of this episode. Have I commented on Washington's dropkicks before? He delivers some really great ones here, even if they don't always completely connect. Colton Cage also puts on a heck of a pretty show with his Cupid Zero dropkick. In fact, some of the best action in this match involves kicks. Throughout the match, Starr asks Kid Kash about the possibility of his returning to the ring. Kash did have a hip replacement a little while ago, and he was walking with a limp, but he doesn't exactly say no to the idea of stepping between those ropes again. Now we've got a women's match with Raven Black taking on Jess Jody. They previously had a breakdown in communication as a tag team previously here in Memphis Wrestling, and what do wrestlers do when they have a breakdown in communication? Well, they settle it in the ring. More fallout and follow-up from last week's Championship Saturday continues when tag team champions Sir Matthew and Ward Gaston come out to celebrate and gloat about their win over Big John Dalton and Scotty Riggs. They're interrupted by the number one contenders, Too Cool 2, Flex and Tim Grind. They cut a promo on the champs, starting with a, "What's up, little homies?" Too Cool 2 are five-time tag team champions, and they're itching to make it a sixth. We don't get that championship match yet, but we do get some tag team action in the form of LA Hustlers Notorious Bradley and Rough Shot Lamont taking on the Top Guns Brandon Beretta and Joey Vanetti. Now, I don't know much about the Top Guns, but I like their teamwork as they focus their attention on Rough Shot Lamont. Brandon Beretta is the powerhouse of the two, and he solidly controls his opponent from the start of the match. The main event of this week's Memphis Wrestling is a parking lot brawl between Tommy Dreamer and Psycho Simon. At least, the parking lot is where it starts. Dreamer drags Psycho Simon into the Wrestle Center by a chain around his neck. Don't think this means they're getting in the ring right away for a good old wrestling match, though, or, as Dreamer put it earlier, wrestling match. This actually turns into a brawl inside the Wrestle Center with chairs and trash cans and nacho cheese? The brawl does end in the ring, though, and the outro music starts to play and commentary bids us farewell. There's no real winner here, to be honest, except for the viewers and the audience. This is another solid episode of Memphis Wrestling coming off of the events of last week's Championship Saturday. Storylines spinning out of what happened last week are advanced. We see a bit more with Mike Anthony. The boss, Tim Bosby, calls out Aaron Rodriguez, asking for another shot at the internet title. Luke Justice makes his Memphis Wrestling debut, and doesn't really have the greatest time of it. And the little bit of the Tommy Dreamer, Psycho Simon confrontation that happened outside the Wrestle Center looked, sounded, and felt better than the Hustle Hard match we had 2 weeks ago. And speaking of that match, we do catch up with Derek King and Ray Ray Sanders this week too. My only criticism would have to go to the women's match again. It just seems like it's not on the same level as the rest of the card. There's a lack of energy, and this time it was even evident with the ref and his sometimes painfully slow counts. This isn't a criticism of the performers, it just felt like the match itself could use a little more polish before go time. That's not going to keep me from tuning in, though. Memphis Wrestling is one of my favorite indie wrestling shows, and I'll be back next week. I'm eager to see what happens with Mike Anthony at the very least. Please like and subscribe to the Suplex stream. My name is Brother D, and I believe in indie wrestling.